Okay, I thought I'd finish this video today by showing you a little walk around the garden. So here you can see the ume tree, which serves as one of probably the main epiphyte tree I have in my yard. You can see some of the Dendrobium maniliforme are flowering. Most of these plants here are native species, primarily the Neophonecia falcata and Dendrobium maniliforme, but a few others sprinkled in there. This is a non-native bulbophyllum. This is a bulbophyllum ambrosia from China. I don't know how delicious it is. A few other plants here. This is a little herbaceous plant. This is Pollia japonica. This is a very almost weedy, certainly semi-invasive native, even in its homeland here. Lots of things going on. We got the Zamia pseudoparasitica, the only true epiphytic cycad. Here's that Ficus superba bonsai that I started up last summer. This is a Rapis excelsa variegated plant. Philodendron. Here's a Platycerium bifurcatum from Australia. And then down over here you'll see is a Platycerium grande. So here you can see this is the Platycerium grande, which is very closely related to Platycerium superbum from Australia. This plant is only found in certain very restricted places in the Philippines. The main way that you can tell the difference between the two species is that this growing point is a kind of a frill on this species, whereas the superbum is frillless. And then on the back here of the fertile frond, you can see that there is just one patch, whereas superbum would have two patches of spore.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, everything that guy just said is bunk, okay? This plant clearly is not grande. It's clearly superbum. Let me explain, okay? Superbum has got one spore patch, for first of all, right? It's like this kind of a shape. It's a kind of a triangular shape. It's got a little rounded. You know, here in Japan, we got these things called an onigiri. Onigiri is like this little triangular, roundish little rice ball we eat. Very delicious. Different story. Anyway, clearly this plant has one of these onigiri looking like spore patches. Now the thing it's got, around the growing point there, you got the fronds coming out right there at that point. There's a little frill. A frill. The frill belongs to superbum. Not grande. Superbum. Okay? Okay. Let's look at grande. Now grande over here, let's talk about the spore patch first. Okay? There ain't one spore patch. There are two. Okay? So each time you get one of these here, what do you call them? The fertile frond. Yeah, the fertile frond comes down, right? We call each one of those things a lobe. Well, the lobe has got two patches. One, two. I don't know what shape they are. I can't tell. I went to the internet. They give me all this noise. Anyway, two patches for sure. And the growing point is kind of frill. The fronds, you know, the shield fronds, the big crazy ones, those just go out. And then the further ones come out and there's no frill. Okay? So clearly, the plant that we got here is not superbum. It's, I did it again. It's not grande, it's superbum. Okay, superbum is a much more common plant in cultivation. Anyway, grande is very rare. Everybody's always writing down superbum. I mean, I did it again. They're writing down grande, right? Grande. Even I'm confused. I'm confused. Anyway, clearly, the plant here we're talking about is superbum. More cold tolerant, better plant to have. Grande, if you're one of these aficionado collector types like me, you want it. But you know, clearly this plant, what's that? Hey, look, somebody's calling me. I gotta go. Ciao.
This one also being native to the Philippines is less cold hardy, so I have to bring it in during the summertime. Anyway, it's establishing finally pretty well on here. I found it to be a little bit less of a good grower as compared to superbum, but I've been having a hard time trying to find superbum again, so I found this one at a local nursery and I went ahead and bought it, and finally doing pretty good. Here's the crepe myrtle I was working on. Remember that earlier this year I cut this branch off. It was dying, and so it grew a new sucker. So I gave it a little bit of a wiring to try to bend it into a more interesting shape, since they tend to grow these just straight out suckering growths. Here you can see this is a Paphia pedalum arminiacum that I repotted earlier this year, doing well. All kinds of stuff here. Here's the native rhododendron of Japan. That's what degronadum, I think it is. This is one of my tree ferns. This is Cythia tomentosissima. Well, it was called that. Now It's being nominally called island lace, which at this point we're really not sure what it is. And in the back there we have Cyathea spinulosa, which I moved this year. Over here, of course, is the Fukidan collection, getting ready for winter time. And further back in here we have Paphia petalums growing. Okay. One more thing I wanted to check out here was this, what I did with the this post, which has been rotting at the base. We'll talk about that in a second. And here you can see that I put a new cement base for this beam upholding the porch. This was really getting rotted out for many years, and I began to worry about its structural integrity. There's another one over there, and that one was far worse and was literally hanging on by one little piece. Luckily the wood is quite strong, and so it held the porch okay. Anyway, this is pretty immobile. I've gone ahead and really bolted it in there, so it should hold up well for the duration of the time that I'm in this house anyway. So that was a project that needed to be done all summer, and I finally got to it. Okay, going on from there, walking through a little curtain of Spanish moss here, Talensis naedes. Here are some of the specimens of Ceratizamia hildae. You can see it's got two new growths here that I'm growing in my garden. There's the spinulosa again. Did well after the repotting, but then, after the replanting, but then the summer heat got to it, but it's recovering again. And here's the Platycerium that I moved from the carport. This actually is only half of the plant, of the original plant that I had growing on my crepe myrtle over there that ended up killing that branch I cut this summer. The other half you saw there next to the other Platycerium growing in the carport yet. This is getting in the way of people trying to park their cars, and so it just was becoming a nuisance, and I had to move it. I'm planning on mounting this Platycerium up on this ilex tree here where I have some of my other epiphytes growing, but I decided to go ahead and wait because winter's coming, and there's no point in trying to plant a subtropical plant up in a tree at this time of year. Better to give it all next year to establish itself. So anyway, it'll be fine here along the back end of the fence here. If we get a little bit of snow in the winter, it's not going to really affect it. This is a really strong plant that can take down to at least 25 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's what, about -4 Celsius, something like that, -5 Celsius. After that it gets a little dodgy. Definitely lose some fronds too, but anyway, pretty tough plant. I've had it grown now since 2005, so it's proven to be reliable in this climate at least. And here is the native Asplenium antiquum, and this is looks like it's dead, but it's not. This is one of those resurrection type Selaginellas. This is Selaginella tamaricina, and this gets some water on it and boom, it'll rejuvenate right back up again. Well, here I am walking to the back porch area. You can see across the town here, mountains in the distance that I've taken you on walks through if you've been watching some of my other videos, and then the township over there. I got some basil left over here from the summertime, just about finished. Here is a new flush on Ceratizamia trispinosa. This is one of those rare blue cycads found only in the southern Cape of South Africa. And I did a couple, took some babies off it this year, so hopefully those will establish nicely. Little suckers. This is an Araucaria. This is Araucaria auricana. I just poked my finger and that's why I pulled back there. Very spiny. This thing is we call the monkey puzzle tree. It's from southern, well, some Chile and Argentina area, South America. Here are a whole nother host of Araucaria from New Caledonia. These were all grown from seed right around 2010. They have this tendency to like to fall over in the wind. I need to secure him better. I have 3 species here. This is Rulii. I'm thinking that this is probably Montanum. And in here somewhere, I'm not quite sure where, I think it's this guy here. I have to check the tag. I have Laubin felsi, so 3 species. Very rare, only come from New Caledonia, and they're very restricted in where they grow. Well, here we are in kind of the unkempt part of the garden. First off is a large Araucaria. This is Araucaria columnaris. This is a plant that I have in a pot, but it's definitely grown outside of that pot by now, and I might have to sacrifice this next year. Oftentimes this is mistaken as Heterophylla, which is a native of Norfolk Island, the only place in the world where it comes from. In fact, this is probably columnaris from New Caledonia, again, one of the least endangered of the Araucaria species in New Caledonia. This is the blackberry. You can see a lot of it died back, but it doesn't matter. It will sucker up, and I can put new branches up on the hoop for next year. Here we have an odd form of Hinoki cypress. So this is Chamaecyparis obtusa, and this is a tree that can grow into, you know, massive size. But here it is, a strange dwarfed form that I've been growing. I grew this thing from a piece literally this big about 15 years ago. So that's 15 years of growth. Got some North American native azaleas here. This is azalea, rhododendron viscosum. So that's the, what do they call that thing? Swamp honeysuckle, I guess, a very sweet odor. Lots of buds for next year. Here you can see, this is the native Japanese azalea. I did have problems with it getting bugs on it again, but you can see it formed really nice new flower buds for next year, so this should actually bloom quite nicely next year. The rose too also got quite a bit of insect damage, but again, pretty much indestructible, so I'm not worried about it. It'll be growing nicely again in the spring. And then finally down here I have, this is a Lycoris species, surprise lilies. Probably this is Aurea, the Chinese species. And over here we have Lycoris radiata, now out of flower. You probably saw it earlier in the video. There's a little bit of it growing. And these are the leaves that are winter evergreen. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and finish the video off here now, sitting next to this beautiful Lycoris. Beautiful flower, but no smell on these. This is really a nice time of year in Japan. The temperatures are anywhere from the kind of low to mid 20s Celsius, so that's up in the upper 60s, I guess, Fahrenheit, and goes down to, you know, around 60 to high 50s at night. And so it's just really an ideal time of year to be out. Humidities are low as well, so I've really been out here and enjoying it. This unfortunately is also the season where you probably noticed that a lot of my plants are really bug bit. You know, in September it really peaks out where it just feels like, you know, nothing is going to survive, and that sun's really coming now. And then October comes, things cool down a little bit, you know, you start weeding and cleaning, getting ready for the winter time, and you realize that things aren't really dead, they're just really bit back. And it's okay, because they've done most of their work for the season. And, you know, like these azaleas, for instance, they pretty much are denuded of foliage at this point. It doesn't mean that they're sickly or dead, it just means that, you know, they're done for the season. About another 3 weeks from now, maybe 4 weeks, we're going to start getting into the true cooler temperatures too anyway. And so, you know, we'll be getting the first taste of wintry weather. true winter here does not come until usually after Christmas time. So we do actually have a couple of months here where we're in this extended fall. This time of year is almost like an extension of summer for someone who's much further north, so they have in a temperate climate. Here I would call it the beginning of fall, the warm part of fall. Then November we'll get our true fall into early December, and then we'll start to get into winter. Anyway, look forward to another video probably in about a month from now when true fall starts hitting here, and I'll find something interesting to talk about. Unfortunately, the continuing COVID situation is not allowing me to get out and see anything much. Not only because I'm afraid to go out, it's not that. What it really is all the shows and the interesting plants that would be out there for us to see. Of all those shows and things have been canceled, even to the point where they're not allowing people into gardens and things like that. So yeah, this has been an ongoing problem, and hopefully will resolve itself in the coming years so I can get back out there and show you more things. Nevertheless, I will try to get out into the woods and or some other interesting things this fall and into early winter, and early winter, or sorry, late winter. And so I'll keep uploading videos, but this kind of a video, don't expect any more than maybe once a month. Might do a few tutorial videos when it gets cold out, start doing things inside, showing you some things. But that's about it for right now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little update of my garden, and I will see you in the next video.